Hello, welcome back. This is going to be a Temu watch review number 2. My first one was a Temu budget watches. This one's going to be a combination of some budget watches and some, I would say, a little bit above the budget line, maybe intermediate watches. Still not expensive, but not the low end ones. And then I will have a couple budget ones thrown in there too. So after my last one, I have now 4 more watches to my collection. And you see my case is pretty filled up there. And I have another case that's got a couple in it too. So we're gonna start, I'm gonna work lower up as far as value goes. And we're gonna talk about each one of these new ones that I have. Some of these ones, if you saw my last one, you already saw the reviews of them. So we're gonna start with, and doing everything one-handed as I film is a little interesting, but I think we'll get by. So we're going to start with, this is an Orus, and that is spelled O-R-U-S. This is a quartz watch, and I've had it now for maybe a week, and keeps really good time. Now this one, I believe, I won it in one of my games. I win a lot of watches through the Fishland and Farmland games, but I also buy some. So this one I won, and I think it lists for probably in the $10 range. I didn't have any of the dark blue. If you look at my collection, I have one light blue there. I wanted a dark blue one, and it actually goes good with some of the clothes that I wear for work. So I got this one when I wanted. I chose it, and like I said, probably right around $10. I think it looks sharp. The band looks good, even though I'll get on the band in a minute. It has some misgivings on it, but it looks good. The dial looks good. That blue, that sunburst blue really hits the light, man. It just plays nice. And I like, blue and gold is a great color combination for me. This little gold dial down here that does really nothing. It looks sharp. All the side buttons here do nothing except for your time adjustment over here. It does have a date window, which is kind of obscured right now by the hour hand, or by the minute hand down here, but it does have a date. I kind of like that position on the date down here instead of at the 3 o'clock position. I like it where it's at. This thing works really good time-wise. It hasn't lost any time. It's done very, very well in the time I've had it. And I think it's attractive, and when I have it on, it looks really good. I get some compliments on it, which I like. Now, some of the misgivings. It's light for its size. It's not a real small watch. It's in that in-between stage of size. It's a little light. The belt is going to be the downfall. It's jangly as heck. It's a very light, cheap feeling belt bracelet, even though it looks, though, really good on, and it fits nice on the wrist. It just, you can feel that it's light. It's that hollow folded metal. Now, as far as adjustments go, with my little watch tool, had no problem adjusting the size of this. The pins came out, which you really can't see on these folded ones very well, but there are pins there. If you follow the directions, there's little arrows on the inside here which tell you which way to take your pins out. If you look close on the inside there, I had no problem adjusting it and getting it to fit really good on my wrist. The belt's the only issue, and again, with the price of this on your wrist, nobody's going to know it's a $10 watch. That's always a plus for me, especially if I'm wearing it at work where I could get it, banged or hit, and if something would happen to it, it's not going to be a great loss. But I think it's a win. I think it's a good bang for buck watch, which is what we're looking at when we're looking at these Temu budget watches. So Orus, not bad. I give it 4.5 stars. That belt's, holding it back a little bit, but that's about it. And if the belt looks good on you, it doesn't feel horrible on the wrist. You just know when you're holding it. It's when I get into the other ones, I'll explain more how the belt makes a difference. But not bad, not a bad watch. Orus, right around the $10 range for that. Not bad. Okay, this next one, we'll go up a little bit in the value here. This is a Liege. And I've seen a lot of Liege watches on Temu. I haven't got one. This is the first one. This one lists for in the $20 range, right around 22 maybe, 24, somewhere around there. Now this is kind of a surprise watch. This watch I rate pretty high. Works great. Has the time or the date window in the same spot as the other one is right there, which I like. Now why is this a surprise? Well, it's fully functional on these three dials that are in the middle of the dial. And a lot of times those are all fake. But you have the night and day dial here, which works fine. And then you have a stopwatch that works your seconds here on the bottom, and then your minute here in this dial. And it works really, really well. This top button will hit your stopwatch, and there it goes, and it works very well. And when you let it go, if I let it go a full minute, it'll engage this other one up here. That's kind of a unique thing for these budget watches, to have the chronometer and the stopwatch and all that work. That's pretty awesome. I'm going to stop it, and then I like the fact that when you stop it, to reset it, you hit this bottom button, and it just rewinds itself back, whoop, and everything's back to center. It's a pretty nice little function. It's a quartz watch. I like quartz watches. They're okay. I'm more partial to the automatics. It's just my taste. But, you know, quartz watches are less hassle. But this is nice. It's got a nice dual color of the gold and chrome. And, again, when we get into the issues, it's going to be the band. It's a light, you know, folded metal band. You can feel it. You can hear it when I jingle it. Not horrible, but it's got a little noise to it. And it's light. You know, when you lay it down, you can just hear how light it is. The whole watch itself is not heavy, which tells you the material they use is not heavy stainless steel or anything. Now, it looks sharp. It's a great color combination. It does have lume on it, and not the greatest lume, but the lume does work. The back of it is pretty simple and plain. It's got a nice design or logo printed on the back. It says all stainless steel. There's no way. You just get this, be real. It's not heavy enough for that. But it looks sharp. It's a Rolex, you know, wannabe as far as the design, from what I can tell. I get a lot of compliments on it. It really shines nice in the light, and it's one of these watches that looks better than it really is. So as long as it's working and it looks good, that's a bargain. I would say it's worth the money in the $20 to $25 range, somewhere in there. And again, if you watch the Temu prices, you can get these cheaper sometimes. But that's a sharp watch. I would say I'd rate it again in the 4.5, maybe 4.75. It's worth it just for its looks alone. It's a good watch for its price. It's a good watch. Let's not compare it to the big boys. It's not in that realm of the big boys. You know, the big name brand watches. But Liege, not bad. Not bad at all. Good everyday watch that looks a little dressy. Yeah, sharp. Again, I wore this as a musician. I wore this on stage the other night, and it really played with the lights good, and, you know, I liked it. Comfortable, knowing that it's going to work. That's reliability, like that. Now, these next two, I think I said I had 5. I actually have 4 watches that are new. Yeah. So these next 2 are, I'm extremely impressed with these next 2. And I'll get into why. This is a Polaris or Polaris. I've seen it pronounced or heard pronounced different ways. Polaris. This is a remarkable little watch, and I know they still have it for sale on Temu. It's very solid. It's heavy enough to where you know you've got a nice piece in your hand. This is not made of the same cheaper metals that the other ones were that I just went over. You can feel the difference just in your hand. And it's not a fake weight. It's legitimately put together with good materials. They also have several colors that are really kind of cool. They have a blood red and a blue and black and white, and I went for this kind of a burnt yellow. You know, sometimes depending on the way the light hits it, it almost looks orange, but it's in between yellow and orange. Really cool. I didn't have anything in my collection with that color. I liked it. Now it's an automatic, so right now you'll see that it's not running, but it's really reliable. A few little shakes, and there she goes. I can wind it up with this, and like I said, I mentioned in my other video, you don't want to overwind any of these kind of watches. I'll give it 10 winds and then move it through the course of the day. It never loses time. It runs great. I've actually got 18 hours out of this one with minimal winding and just moving a little bit, and that's not bad. I mean, when you're talking the thousands and thousands of dollar watches, they're bragging about 36 hours of reserve. Okay, that's nice. This watch lists for right around $35 in that area, $32 to $35. If I would push it and wind it a little bit more than what I normally do and with my movement, I'm sure I could get over 20, 24 hours. But as it is, I'm getting 16 to 18 hours, and that's with me not pushing it and I don't want to overwind it and break the spring inside. So it is smooth. If you look at that second hand just ticking, it's a very smooth action. You can feel the quality of this when you have it on. It's got the hardened mineral glass. Yes, it doesn't have sapphire. You're going to pay more for that. But it's hardened Hardlex, which is pretty darn good. This is definitely a stainless steel case. You can feel the weight on it. When you look at the back, it's got a very cool coin. You know, you can't see the mechanism in the back. I like that window. It doesn't have that, but it has a very cool coined edge screw down back. So as far as its waterproof goes, I'm gonna think that this is probably pretty safe, more safe than some of your other ones that I've showed in the last video and earlier in this one. This is a pretty safe waterproof watch. That screw down mechanism is good. You got a screwed down crown, amazing for a watch of this price. This crown is screwed down. For me to adjust it or anything, I have to unscrew it, get it all the way unscrewed, then pull back just a little bit to pop it free, and then I can change, depending on the setting here, I can change the time, or I can wind it forward if I want to get a few winds in and not just rely on the movement. There's no date on this, and I'm fine with that. When all said and done, you push this back down and tighten it down, and I'm telling you, from looks and feel and everything, I would be pretty safe if this gets reasonably wet. I wouldn't dive with it, obviously, but I don't think that's going to cause any problems with how they put it together. Now we're going to get into the band, and this is where a good watch takes off to become a great watch. This is a solid, well put together, well designed band. Changing it was no problem, and that's a good sign when you start to get the pins and your pin pushers in there, and everything just works like clockwork, no pun intended. Pushes out easily, resets easily. I don't have the biggest wrist, so I had to take a few links out. Was not a problem. And again, one of the best parts about this watch is it has the micro adjusters, and usually on these clamshell type latches, you don't have the micro adjuster, but right there you'll see the different pins. There's 4 settings. You can get this exactly how you want it, snug, loose, tight, however you want it to your wrist, because you can take the links out and then you can tweak it here to get it right where you want it. I got it perfect. The way it fits on my wrist is great. I'll actually put this one on, so give me 1 second to put the phone down. And yes, I'm gonna have to show my ceiling for a second because I can't do it with one hand. Okay, so now how that fits on my wrist is perfect. And I like a little bit of movement. I don't like it too tight, but that's perfect. And I can tweak it however I want. It just feels so good. That is a really quality band on a very nice watch. Guys, this is in the $35 range, maybe a little less. This is easily an $80 to $100 watch. How they did it, I don't know. I haven't seen watches that quality for that price on Temu. If they have more, and they don't run out, because I think they're selling pretty quickly. I'd like to get the other colors if I can. I could not be more impressed with this watch as a super functioning automatic. I feel comfortable with the waterproofness of it. The belt is just really high quality for that. I have seen some people say that if you have a really big wrist, this isn't a great watch to get because it only is so big. I don't have a huge wrist. I'm a bigger guy, but my wrist kind of tapers down to smaller. So nope, I couldn't be more happy. That thing is just amazing. I love that yellow, but the feel of it, and when you get that screw down crown, everything about it feels quality. I couldn't recommend it enough. If you want a good watch right now and you don't want to spend an arm and a leg, this is fantastic. Just by far, this is the second best watch out of all the watches I have here, and I'm going to show the best one in a second here. But this is a very nice quality watch. Polaris, or Polaris, however you want to pronounce it. There's the logo, if I can get it to where it's not so bright. Yeah, fantastic, guys. Gone on a little bit long about this one because it is such a good watch for bang for buck. I don't think you can go wrong with that. Okay, so now we're gonna take this one off. Oh, I want to show you one more thing on this latch that I really like. I've seen somebody complain about it. I don't know how you could complain, but the way this latches, if you see that hole right there, the male end here, where my thumb is, down here, will insert there when you fold it, and then it really locks into place nicely. Hard to do with one hand, sorry about that. It'll lock in really nicely with one hand, and then you have the locking mechanism I just flipped up there that goes over top of that, and it really makes a nice click. You hear that click? That is not, and then that clicks down. It's so tight and well machined, that's not coming off your wrist. So if you're working, you're moving around a lot, which I do, that is not popping free, and it's not hard to get undone. You'll flip that up and then pop that off right there, which I'm not gonna do with one hand. Maybe I will. Yep, there you go. It's not that hard to pop off. I did it with my thumb right there, but it is such a nice tight machine fit. Just well put together, well designed watch. I hope whoever designed and made this watch took a little bit of pride in what they did, because they put together a nice piece here. Very happy with that. Now, my favorite watch so far by far. And I'm going to be honest, it's not just because my wife got this for me for my birthday last week. She heard me talking about this one. She knew I wanted it. She got it off Temu. And this is a absolutely incredible piece. This is a Vostok Amphibia, which, if you know about the Vostok Amphibias, they are a Russian-made watch. Started back in the Soviet days, still going strong. This is a salmon colored dial, which looks fantastic. I don't know how well it's looking in the light, but it is really beautiful salmon color. I don't have anything close to that color. The closest one would be the one I just showed you with that burnt yellow, but it doesn't touch this. This is all stainless steel body. It feels incredibly solid in every area. It's an automatic. Now you see it's ticking right there. I set this watch this morning before I went to work at 6:30 this morning, and I gave it 5 winds of the dial here and moved it a little bit, and then of course moving it through the day, and it is going strong. Hasn't lost 1 minute. We are now at almost 12:40 in the AM. We're coming up on 24 hours in another 5 or 6 hours. This thing is amazing. Look at the second hand, how smooth that movement is. The glass is crystal. I tried to get some details on what type of crystal they used or glass they used. I couldn't find anything, so I don't know what they use. It's probably a mineral glass, but I would have bet at the way this thing's put together, it's hardened, maybe a hard Lex type mineral glass. I'm not sure. It's very, very clear and clean. Absolutely a stunner. Now, The mechanism works great. It's got a clear back, which I love on the automatic, so you can see the movement. And look at that little bit of movement winding, and that's how you can tell that it self winds very, very well. That movement is flawless. For one little movement, it just wants to go, and that rewinds it on its own. And when we get into the littler details here of the belt, again, you can tell light years difference from this belt to the very first one I showed you. It might look a little similar. They're not at all. This is high quality, a heavy metal, not the least bit hollow or chintzy feeling. Again, when I adjusted this one, the pins worked flawlessly. You can tell it's machined properly. It's not so tight that you bend your pin pushers. This thing came right out, reset it with the, took the links out I needed to, push back in, beautiful. Doesn't grab your hair, doesn't on your wrist, doesn't grab your skin. This thing feels amazing. My only downside, and it's a minor downside, is that it doesn't have any micro adjusters on the belt. So when you're taking links out, or adding links or whatever, you can't do the fine tuning. So this one sits a hair loose on my wrist because when I took one more link out, it was just way too tight. So it's my wrist size is right in between. Of course, I'd rather have it a little bit loose than tight. But the mechanism here is simple. This folds in, clicks, and then this one folds in and clicks, and then you're set. And I'll actually do that real quick. Let me set my camera down as I do this. You're going to have a crappy picture for a second, guys, so I can get myself on here. Okay, now we're good. So I love the way this lays on the wrist. It's just thick enough to give it that rugged, manly feel, which I like. Just heavy enough. It's not super heavy because it's not a super big watch, but it's heavy enough that you know it's put together. The band just feels great. But the mechanism in it is where this thing, well, I mean, it's got a lot of pluses. That salmon dial is amazing. The mechanism is flawless. I time this thing. It doesn't lose time. It takes a long time for this watch to die down. I've been getting 24 hours easily on this with just very minimal winding and movement. It just runs and runs and runs. And then maybe if I fall asleep and wake up in the morning, it'll have stopped an hour before I woke up. It's so good. Classy looking. And, you know, Vostok Amphibia, the Vostok line, those are high sought after watches for collectors, because they're unique. They're well built. They were built for the Soviet military back in the day, and they still make them now. And they build them with the same military grade specs. So it's put together very, very well. Now, the surprising part of this watch is, again, I want to say the last I looked at it, $54. $54 for this watch. I've been doing a lot of watch reviews. This blows everything out of the water so far in that price range. Probably easily, and I've seen it online, you know, outside of Temu, in the $150 to $200 range. I think Temu and AliExpress have them for right around the same price. Everything else is way, way higher. So I don't know if they've maybe discontinued this model, and that's why we're getting it so inexpensive. I won't use the word cheap because there's nothing about this watch that's cheap. Boy, if you can find these, I would snatch that up. And so far, I'm very impressed with the Vostok Amphibia line. Just put together for a watch that's meant to last many years. This is something I'll be able to hand down to my kids one day. So definitely built to last. Okay, guys, that's my second watch review. The collection is definitely filled up now. At this point on, I'm probably only going to be looking for unique off brands that I don't have. Some ones I have that aren't Temu related, I will throw those out there just real quick. I have an Elgin here that I've had for years, and I just was able to get it up and running again. I had a battery issue with it that I couldn't quite figure out until recently, and now I got it all straightened out. So she's running good. That's a nice older watch. I've had that for 20 years, close to. This here is let's see real quick here. Okay, this is an Elgin. I've had this for 10 years. Very unique watch with this one. You see it's an automatic. It's actually a semi-automatic. The automatic only works the second hand. That's a dial right here. That's why it's not turning. If I move it, it'll engage that, wind that up, and we'll have the second hand move. For the longest time, I was new into watches when I got this. I had no idea there was such a thing as a semi-automatic. So when it stopped working, I thought the watch broke. And it was going to be expensive to repair for a watch that cost $58. It was probably going to be $200 and some to repair it. I'm like, no, that doesn't make any sense. I'm winding it up real quick for the second hand movement. And there it goes. So I just move it and second hand goes and it stopped because I really didn't move it much. But the unique thing is when you take the back off to look at this thing, and I decided to finally tag into it, yeah, there's a battery hidden inside of there that runs the minute and the hour hand. A really simple, easy battery replacement. And now she's up and running again after 10 years of sitting in a drawer, not moving. So we're going to get the automatic part moving. And there we go. The automatic works fine. Second hand spins fine with the movement. And yeah, but it's a semi-automatic. I didn't know they made such a thing. It's beat up. This thing is worn, but it's very sentimental. My wife got it for me our very first Christmas together. So now this thing's up and running and I wear it quite a bit. Comfortable. Elgin, not bad. And the last one that I didn't get off Temu that I'll show here is this is a refurbed Citizen, which I like the watch. It works good. It's a mechanical, which I like those. And there she goes, a few movements. The only thing you can tell it was done kind of cheaply when it was put together again. It was refurbished from old Citizen parts. We winded up some more there. And the inside of this dial, with the light, you can see how dusty and there's dust particles and everything inside of there. Yeah, and I'm going to try to get that apart to where I can clean that out. But I don't want to damage anything, so I'm going to have to figure this out to get it cleaned up. I like the watch. It's a nice little watch. But this I got off like that Posh site, and I think it was like $52. Runs okay. It doesn't have the mechanism as good as some of the ones I showed you from Temu. Because I shake it there, it'll run for a little bit, but it'll die. I have to wind this up to get it to really keep running. I do my 15 to 20 winds, and it'll last a day. But it's nice. It looks sharp. But so far, compared to the Temu ones, I would say that they have outshined that, especially the orange one I showed you here, or sorry, this sunburnt yellow, and this salmon one. Outstanding. So, hope you guys liked the review today. It's a little bit more on the Temu line of different watches. I'll be back with anything new when I get some more watches to review. Until then, peace.